That's what I told him.
Good morning. Second meeting of the House Elections, Constitutional Amendments, and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee is called to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker, Representative Bivens, Representative Branscombe,
Here.
Representative Callaway, Representative Chester Burton, Representative Decker,
Present.
Representative Gooch, Representative Hancock,
Here.
Representative Imes,
Here.
Representative Cook,
Here.
Representative Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Here.
Representative Marzian, Representative Roberts,
Here.
Vice Chair Hodgson,
Here.
Chair Johnson.
Here. Got a quorum? We do have a quorum and are ready to do business. Before we get into the official business of the day, I'd like, as I do with each meeting, I'd like to start off with a pledge and a prayer. I've asked Representative Lockett to lead us in a prayer, and Representative Imes, if you'd continue to stand after the pledge for a prayer.
Father, we thank you that you have been with us through this weather condition, Lord, the cold, and you've taken care of those who have taken care of us. We ask that you would give us wisdom, discernment, knowledge today as we make decisions, Father, for our constituents. We pray that you will be made known through what we do, that we will be glorified through what we do. We ask these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. A couple of administrative announcements. Be sure to remember to make sure that the microphones are on to record your votes, and if you're going to be presenting before the committee, make sure that green light is on. I'd ask that everybody check their cell phones, make sure they're either on silent or turned off. And as we will do throughout the session, we will continue to implement the 24-hour rule for committee amendments and committee substitutes. And before we get into the business of the day, does any member have anyone they'd like to recognize? Representative Hodgkins.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce my intern for the session. He liked it so much last time he came back for more. Keegan Shremovich from U of L.
Let's show our appreciation for Keegan. Very good. We will get right into the agenda. The first item on the agenda today is House Bill 139, sponsored by Representative Decker. If you each raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Very good. Representative Decker, the floor will be yours, but before that, I know we have a committee substitute. I'm going to ask Representative Hodgson to introduce the committee substitute, and then I will let him explain that and turn the floor over to you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we consider committee substitute 1.
Got a motion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Before we get into the actual bill, Representative Hodgson, if you want to just explain what's added in the committee sub.
Yes, a very, very small change on page 21. Talks about if there is a vacancy at the bottom of the page, if a vacancy occurs in the nomination of, and the word is changed to any candidate, or a nomination made in by the primary more than 10 days before the certification date for the election, which is August timeframe, because of death or withdrawal are the two reasons we're putting in there. So in simple terms, if a party finds itself without a candidate anytime from 5 minutes after the filing deadline up until the certification date for the ballot, they would have the opportunity to replace them.
Any questions from the committee about the committee substitute? Seeing none, we'll get into the bill itself. Representative Decker, if you would introduce yourself for the record and your guest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the committee for allowing us to be here today. My name is Jennifer Decker. I'm the House of Representatives member from District 58. I'll ask my guests to introduce themselves.
Good morning, Taylor Brown, General Counsel for the State Board of Elections.
Good morning. I'm Brian D. Smith. I'm the Hardin County Clerk. I also serve as second Vice President of the Kentucky Clerks Association.
So now, before you start, Representative Decker, I'll just inform the committee that this is, she's going to say this is the continuing improvements bill we do every year for elections. I will mention she probably has about 20 items in there, so I will leave it to the committee's discretion as to how far and how much detail you want her to give. Representative Decker, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do appreciate this committee. It's an honor to serve on it as well. 2 years ago, former Secretary of State Trey Grayson dubbed these bills continuous improvement. We had called such bills cleanup bills, but we're not cleaning anything up. We are just improving things that we think could be improved, and sometimes it is to fix problems that have been seen in the prior year's elections. During each interim session for these bills, I meet with a variety of people, the State Board of Elections, the Secretary or Deputy Secretary of State, their staff, various county clerks, the County Clerks Association, several state legislators who have an interest in elections, and concerned citizens. Together, we review election data, listen to feedback from clerks and voters, and identify any procedural, technological, or administrative issues that hinder efficient election administration or compromise integrity or reduce voter turnout. This bill is a product of all of that collaborative process. It contains practical, nonpartisan fixes to modernize our election system, protect voters, and strengthen election integrity. I'd be happy to highlight various provisions of the bill.
Motion on the bill. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Representative Baker, Representative Bivens,
Yes, and I'd also like to note my attendance.
Representative Branscombe,
Yes.
Representative Callaway, Representative Chester Burton,
Yes.
Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Gooch,
Yes.
Representative Hancock,
Pass.
Representative Hodgson,
Yes.
Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Cook,
Yes.
Representative Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative Marzian, Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Chair Johnson.
Yes. With 11 yes votes and 1 pass vote, the measure passes, and we will forward it to the full House for consideration.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Chair. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, as they step away, the next item on the agenda is House Bill 356, sponsored by Representative Randy Bridges. Representative Bridges, if you'd like to come forward. And as you have your seat, if you raise your right hands. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much. If you would, please introduce yourselves for the record. And Representative Bridges, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and fellow committee members. I appreciate you. I'm Randy Bridges. I represent the 3rd House District of our great Commonwealth, and I have with me today Christopher Cumrine from KCTCS system that's been gracious enough to come up and help out if needed. With that, I bring you forth House Bill 356. It's simple, but it could get complicated. Up until this time, for years, this bill covers PVA testing. It's offered once a year, or once every 4 years, and it's offered the year prior to the election date. And looking that over a few years ago, I chaired the PVA Special Task Force back in, I think it was 19 or 20. And this is one of the items that come up that I thought could be corrected. And what this bill does, it moves the testing over to the KCTCS system, which can offer it multiple times. The bill states it'll start 9 months before the filing deadline, end 3 weeks before the filing deadline, so there's ample time to get the results over to the Department of Revenue. That's what the bill does. What it does not do, it does not take the Department of Revenue from the oversight of the test itself. So they will still provide all the testing questions and everything over to the KTCTS, and they will put that into their system. This is something that KCTCS does on a statewide basis for a number of organizations. They have 42 locations, and this would open it up from requiring a candidate that maybe want to pursue that line to not have to travel. I've traveled a little over 4 hours. Some of my colleagues travel 5, some of them up to 6, depending on where you live throughout the state. And that test that's currently offered once a year, it's offered here in Frankfort. And there's no retakes as far as that goes when it comes to it. If you have a flat tire, you have an illness, you have any kind of weather-related something that prevents you from getting here on that day, then you don't get to take the test for another 4 years. There are exemptions. They're not any different than the prior bill. They've not been changed, moved around a little. But if there's single candidates and only one is qualified, then the judge of that county can request a special test. At this time, the Department of Revenue has to set all that up, take care of it and everything. We have run a fiscal note. The fiscal note is 0. And just so you know, KCTCS has 42 testing locations throughout the state, which will make it much more convenient for anyone that wants to look into this. This does not have anything to do with our current PVAs. They are, in my word, a foundational necessity of our local governments. The taxing that's brought in through property valuations is, the state, city, county, fire districts, libraries, and a multitude of other processes that they assess property and then turn it over to the Sheriff's Department to collect it. So we need the best and most qualified individuals to be able to run for this office, and I think this is more of an election integrity bill, and it opens up transparency, availability, and convenience. And other than that, I'm clearly open to questions.
I'll just ask a quick question, and you may have said this, but I just want to reemphasize it. Before someone can run for PVA, they have to pass this test. Is this correct?
Yes, yes.
And the current situation is that you basically have a one-time shot.
Yes, I've got the announcement here from this last one. It was November, I think it was 13th of 2025. And I would like to read this to you because to take that test, you have to register for it prior to it on November the 6th. And then there is a notation at the bottom. The statewide exam will not be offered again until November of 2029. We're in a modern age. Technology, we shouldn't have to limit our candidates. And when we look at elections, they ought to be open to as many qualified candidates so we get the best candidates available. Not that the PVAs we got are not qualified, or no dig against them. It's just basically, I think as an elected official, I think we are the ones elected most often every 2 years, and people are allowed to file and run against us up until the day of a filing deadline, and they can decide the night before. PVAs do need to be tested. There was a bill a few years ago that wanted to do away with that. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I feel like I am a professional in property industry, and there are qualifications that should be met to be able to value property at fair market cash value, and you can't just walk in off the street and do it. They should be tested, so this no means takes away from the test. From what I understand, I've never taken it, but I hear it's pretty tough. So, that I don't know if there's any other questions, but I'd be more glad to answer.
Motion on the bill.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I do have one. I just wanted to give Chris an opportunity to present the position of KCTCS on taking on this responsibility before we move forward.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. The Kentucky Community and Technical College system is community first. We have 16 colleges around the Commonwealth, and as Representative Bridges said, 42 assessment centers. We do assessments for our own programs. We do assessments for third parties. And if it's the General Assembly's will to assist with this, it's something that we're prepared to do.
Very good. I appreciate that. Appreciate the KCTCS stepping up. We do have a couple of questions or comments. Representative Cook, if you'll kick us off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Bridges, thank you for bringing this up. I was here. Representative Yates actually filed that bill several years ago, and this issue with the PVAs has been going for several years now, and increasing the frequency which they can take that test to allow more people to have that opportunity to run, where it's only offered every several years. Many people, by the time they decide they want to do it, it's too late. They miss the test, 4 years pass, et cetera. This is very well thought out. It's good, and it's a simple idea, and it's common sense, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cook. Representative Bivens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Bridges, we talked yesterday about this, and I did a little digging afterwards last night. And at first glance, I'm very much in favor of this. However, I see there's a couple of issues I have to think about, and I like to sleep on things sometimes. Something that's brought up, my wife being the teacher, maybe that brings me out in this, but a question, and you may not be able to answer this. Has there ever been problems with anybody being thrown out of the test as far as I'll relate this to, I don't want to call out other departments or necessarily, but we have other places across the state where we are allowed to administer stuff. And, sometimes I drive a truck at home. Let's just leave it at that. It's very well known. There are certain locations you go to take a test that is much easier to pass than what it may be in other places. I guess I have a problem thinking about if we talk about stretching across all of KCTCS's locations. And please, Mr. Kramer, don't take this wrongly, but with Revenue Department currently administering this test, I question whether the test integrity will remain. And I happen to have a family member that took the test this time, and he was talking about how well done it was and whatnot, but that becomes an issue with me. I like the idea of spreading it out, but I'll also think that we've become a society that we try to make things too easy at times. I'd be more open to looking at, if you would, let's do a central, a western, and an eastern test on 3 different days. And then you go back to your idea of you have a flat tire on the way, you have an ice storm that hits, you have other opportunities. I agree there probably needs to be other opportunities. As far as opening it up to all, I don't know that I'm quite more, I've studied it and thought about that, that I'm on board with that yet, because we're talking about a test of integrity here for a constitutional office. The other thing that I've thought about it, and I've tried to think, and you may be able to correct me if I'm wrong, are there other offices that are required to take a test before running for office? And circuit clerk was one that came to mind, so is this something we need to look at expanding to do other offices as well? I agree PVAs have got to take a test, because this is not something you want anybody thrown into that office to understand it. And like you said, with a real estate license, you get that. But I just offering as a broad spectrum test across all KCTCS campuses, I don't know that, I guess I would ask the question, would the Revenue Department be on hand to administer the test, or are we going to allow KCTCS to administer the test under this method?
You've got a couple of questions in there, so let's break them down.
And I didn't mean to ramble, but just to give you a couple of wild thoughts.
Well, first, I want to say I've got full confidence in our KCTCS system and their credibility and their testing credibility. I'm a licensed realtor. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I have taken both my tests, one in, 2000, and then another one in 2008. It was very convenient, clean, crisp, and very thorough. The requirements that they require when you go and take the test. But it's, if it's good enough for realtors, it's good enough for bankers, insurance agents. It's sufficient for KCTCS's own credentials for their staff, and a multitude of other professional organizations. I have full confidence that KCTCS can and will perform this in a way that is of high standards. The part as far as I know, I've met with Department of Revenue a number of times on this. I haven't this year. It's been the same conversation with the same questions, same answers. They have the full authority and they have the responsibility to make up the test itself. The questions, they will have the convenience of interchanging those questions, switching those questions around anytime they want to. It's basically with electronics and everything. It's just sending them to KCTCS and giving them adequate time to log it into their system. As far as anyone ever been disqualified from that, I don't know. Not that I know of, but not as far as once they've taken the test and been rejected, unless they failed the test. You have to have a 70% passage rate. If it were me, it'd probably be 80 or 90, but it's not. The statute says 70%. We're not fooling with that. This is basically about election integrity, to be able to take that test, because if someone, we've had natural disasters, we've had tornadoes in the west, we've had flooding in the east, we've had a snowstorm throughout the entire state that's affected the whole state. But there are times when you just have a snowstorm in one county or something. But if someone from that can't make that one date, we can do better, and we can stand to a higher integrity. So rather than lessening the integrity or the credentials of that test or the credibility of it, I think this actually strengthens it, and it broadens the pool to people that are well qualified. So just, and I do agree, Phil, with you. My wife's a teacher, a retired teacher. My daughter's a teacher. My son and daughter-in-law are both educational instructors in another state. So I understand the credentialing and everything. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if they offer educational exams or not. I'd be speaking out of turn there. But there are a number of professional organizations that we depend on each and every day that are allowed to go there and take their testing to get their certification and get their license. I've got full confidence in our community college system and what they do, and that's what they're about. They've got a statewide presence. It's a mission to serve the community across the state. They've got 42 testing facilities. And they do it to their academic programs, for industry licensures, assessment services for industry partners across the board. So I forgot what the third question was, and I'm sorry about that. But
I think I'd asked about, have you looked at? I know circuit clerks was another one that has to take a test. Have you looked at others?
There are a few technical differences between those testings, and we felt that would need to be a separate bill. We're looking into, but it couldn't be broad enough to do that. There are some technical requirements and everything that are a little different that prevents us from doing that, or it's been brought to my attention a number of times, and we would consider it, but I think wisdom would bring us back to that needs to be a standalone bill addressing their situation in another part of statutes. You get.
The only thing I'll add, and I appreciate the comments, Representative Bridges, and the question, Representative Bivens, is that we do have 42 assessment centers across the state. That doesn't necessarily mean every assessment that we offer is offered in every assessment center, right? So the degree to which the department, the General Assembly would want to shape that, we're flexible. That 42 assessment centers sort of is just the top line, Representative Bivens.
So just to follow up on your comment, what I'm hearing is that you would evaluate how and when and where to do the testing in the best way possible based upon what you figure out the needs are. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and if you look at page 2, section E, I think the Kentucky Community and Technical College System shall work with the department, and that's the Department of Revenue, to promulgate administrative regulations in accordance with Chapter 13A and establish registration process and fees for the examination. It also says that the department on down, or maybe above it, the department will provide the testing material as far as the questions go. So they still have full control of that test and what goes into it. We're not claiming to be experts on the PVA. One thing that I intend to, maybe in admin regs, bring up to revenue is I did notice on the governor's notice at the very bottom, it says there is no study guide for the exam. I think that's something we need to look into, but we need to, take a bite out of this elephant one bite at a time. I think that we should ask the Department of Revenue to provide some sort of guidelines for a study to know what the requirements are, what's expected, and what will be done, so people know what the job is. I mean, just a side note, but I'm not trying to muddy the waters here, but there is no current guidelines for what a PVA test even looks like.
Very good. And finally, Representative Chester Burden.
And I appreciate your presentation on this because as a educator myself, I thought about the praxis. The praxis has a study guide, so you answered that question, that there is no study guide. Do you foresee, I know you said something, maybe working on that at some point, on those individuals. I think they would appreciate that if this is something that they are aiming to do. And from my understanding, did I hear you say it's every 3 years that they take the test?
4 years. They're on a 4-year election cycle.
Okay, so it'll be November 26th for this year for them to take the test?
Last year. This is it's 2025. It was November, I think it was the 13th. It was November 13th of 2025.
Oh, okay.
For the
I thought I heard 26. Okay.
election cycle.
Okay.
And then it will not be offered again unless there's extenuating circumstances. We have to have a special test. And that's all lined that item in here, and it's real similar to what was before. There were a couple of clerical changes and stuff, but it was the same procedure. And then the next test will be in November of 2029. The test is good for 1 year. One thing that I have had some calls from some PVAs and everything saying, well, I'm a sitting PVA and you're going to make me take that test again. That is not so. It is, when you look at the bill, the first paragraph, that's lined item out, but it's restated in Section 2 that it shall not apply to those currently sitting in office. So they are exempt from having to take that test again. But they take continuing education classes, and they're very good about their follow-up education once they come into office. I commend them on that, and they've got a good system worked out. So I don't see any necessity at this point into diving into that. This is basically just about transparency and accessibility, and we've got the system that already does it. We had a physical note, and it comes up as 0. There are fees to be worked out and everything. I think most of the fees, at least I can speak from realtor standpoint, to take the test is $100.
Okay.
So.
Okay. One last question. Who designs the test?
The Department of Revenue.
The Department of Revenue.
Yes.
Okay.
And they will work with WKC, or not W. I'm in Western Kentucky, so that's what I'm struggling with when I go to pronounce this. I want to call it WKCTCS, but it's KCTCS. They have the equipment and the facilities and the personnel to administer the test, but the Department of Revenue will generate that test.
Okay.
And then they will work together to bring that together. Talking to KCTCS system, they've got everything in place. It's basically as simple as entered in as another test like they do all the others, and they've got the personnel, the people already there, so the cost is negligible.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go one more round. Representative Evans, got a follow-up?
You said something there I want to ask, didn't think about it earlier, cost.
Yes.
Are part of that cost, is it going to go to KCTCS going forward for them administering this test, or will they apply extra fees for administering it or anything?
We've not had that conversation, but we're not looking to. We're not looking to make this an enormous revenue stream for us. If the Department of Revenue has a certain fee structure that we can work with, then we'll work with that.
Okay. So you're not going to come back and say, hey, we're doing this test for you, we're going to need extra funding.
That's not our plan.
Okay.
That is on the record. I'll hold you to it. Yes, sir. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Seeing no other questions for comments,
Representative Baker, Representative Bivens,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to explain my vote before I cast it.
Yes.
I agree we can always find ways to improve. I feel like we really need to, I think, first of all, I think it's great that we're adding extra testing dates. That is a positive I see with this. I would really like to see you, before you get this to into law, maybe to look at, to change around a little bit, to identify maybe a couple of testing dates, maybe look at a regional testing date, adding an extra testing date, something like that, instead of just opening it up and leaving it open and ended for possibility of 42 locations. I trust that KCTCS would not just allow it opened at all locations all the time or whatnot. I will vote yes today on this but I'm leaving you with the challenge that I'd like to see that looked at before we get to another further step with this, to change that a little bit and change some language. So thank you.
Representative Branscombe,
Explain my vote. Mr. Chairman, explain
Yes,
my
sir.
vote. All right, thank you. I'm a no today. With some of the changes, I could probably get to yes on the floor. I'd like to talk to you about that, but I'm a no right now.
Representative Callaway,
Can I explain my vote?
Yes.
I'm going to be a yes today as well. I do have some things that I think we can work through the process, and I appreciate you bringing this. I think opening up to more areas and give more flexibility is great. So thank you for what you're trying to do here, and I'm a yes today.
Representative Chester Burton,
Explain my vote.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a yes today as well, but I would suggest, and I'm hoping that you all will, at some point, have some type of test preparation for those that are interested in being in this line of work, just because I think that the more preparation is kind of like, if you are a history teacher or some type of educator with a professional subject matter, you would expect that those individuals would be preparing it by studying for it. So I'll be a yes today.
Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Gooch, Representative Hancock,
No.
Representative Hodgson, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Cook,
Explain my vote, please.
Yes.
I'm a yes. I think we should be very careful as we move forward, and I hear what you're saying. I think we need to be, the exact details need to be spelled out with regulations, not in the bill. I think we could put like no more than 10 times or no more than 5 locations or something like that. But I think we need to, vague's not the right word, but you need to put the details, should not be in the bill. The details need to be worked out in the regs and that. Otherwise, if something's not working, if we want to change location or number of times to make it more flexible, you have to come back here every time. And that's not the way we need to set this up. So I like where you're going with it. Good idea. Vote yes.
Representative Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Explain my vote, please.
Yes.
I just want to piggyback off of what the other Matt said as well. And I think a lot of the things that we are talking about that are being brought up here are all things that would be in the regs. If you look at, as was pointed out, page 2, line 4 and 5 and 6, state that KCTCS shall work with the department to do these regs. And so all the details in terms of dates, times, how, where, frequency, all of those things are done in the regs. They are not done in the bill. And so I just want to point that out because the bill says that we're changing the testing site. It does not say how often, does not say where, does not say how much. All of those things are done through the regs. I think it's great. It's a great bill, and I vote yes.
Representative Lewis, Representative Marzian, Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Chair Johnson.
Yes. With 11 yes votes and 2 no votes, the measure does pass, and we look forward to seeing it on the House floor. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you. Thank you, committee.
And before we adjourn, Representative Callaway, would you like to register a vote?
Yes, sir. I'd like to register my attendance and then also register a yes vote on House Bill 139 Committee Sub.
Is there any other business that the committee has before we adjourn? Seeing none, the last item on the agenda is adjournment, and we are adjourned. Point of order. Is there a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? Second. We are out of here. Thank you.